So last week, we got the final report from the January 6th Select Committee. And in that report, a portion of it released on Friday, they revealed that Republican Senator Mike Lee, who of course was one of the Republican senators working with the White House trying to overturn the election results, but even this guy, Republican Senator Mike Lee, thought that Rudy Giuliani was, as he put it, a walking malpractice. So here's what happened. Rudy Giuliani made a phone call to Mike Lee. Mike Lee didn't answer, so he left him a voicemail. And the voicemail said, "I'm calling you because I want to discuss with you how they're trying to rush this hearing and how we need you, our Republican friends, to try to just slow it down so we can get these legislatures to get more information to you." That was the voicemail that Giuliani left for Republican Senator Mike Lee. Except Giuliani didn't mean to call Mike Lee. Giuliani actually addressed this voicemail to new Republican Senator at the time, Tommy Tuberville from Alabama. So Rudy Giuliani picks up his phone, tries to call Tommy Tuberville, somehow calls Mike Lee. Okay, I don't even know how you get those two names mixed up in your contact list. They shouldn't be anywhere near each other unless those are the only two names you have in there. So somehow he massively screwed that up. So then Mike Lee gets this voicemail, texts it over to an aide of Donald Trump, and in his text he says this: "You've got to listen to that message. Rudy is walking malpractice. You can't make this up. I just got this voice message from Giuliani, who apparently thought he was calling Senator Tuberville." Okay, so Giuliani's an idiot. That much is not new, right? We didn't need the Select Committee to go ahead and point that out because we all knew it. But what is fascinating to me is the fact that we have a Republican here, Mike Lee, who was working to overturn the election results. It's not like he was one of those people who said, "No, it wasn't stolen. Biden won it fair and square. Let's move on with our lives." No, he was one of the people who said, "Let's do what we can to overturn it." But even he wasn't buying what Rudy Giuliani was selling. And of course, he's not wrong about him being a walking malpractice. I have said repeatedly over the last 2 years, Donald Trump probably has a very strong case to take Rudy to court for legal malpractice. That is how bad Rudy Giuliani has been as a lawyer for Donald Trump. And I think that's what Mike Lee was trying to get across to the Trump people. Like, hey, if you want this to succeed, you're going to have to find somebody a little bit better than Rudy Giuliani. Which, of course, goes back to something I've also been saying for 2 years. Imagine how these things would have turned out if you didn't have the most incompetent people in the country trying to overturn the election. You know, if instead of Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump had hired Alan Dershowitz, things may have turned out a little bit differently. If instead of Sidney Powell, he had an actual brilliant legal mind in there, things may have gone differently. If instead of Mark Meadows, he would have had a Karl Rove, things would have been different. That's how close we came. And I believe that's what Mike Lee was trying to tell them. Let's get the incompetent people out of here, replace them with people who know what they're doing, then suddenly we may have a way to overturn this election. Thank God it never happened. But let's never forget that we were this close to it actually happening. This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.